so they have no rights to anything else. No matter, so you really have to be careful when you're.
So when you say their directory, you mean
the activity directory? Yes, that directory itself.
So it can run all over itself.
No, it actually cannot modify itself. That's one of the things.
Well, it can modify certain parts within itself depending on where it's.
It cannot modify its own code.
That's not exactly true.
Well,
but Luke, let's sorry.
Can you save stuff to thumb drive?
Yes, thumb drives are mounted automatically.
But the user has to initiate a copy.
So what kind of limitations does that give you, like facts? Like
well, the issue I was running into was the fact that he was using cron, and you can't access a cron tab if you're a random user that's created just for one session. So it was really hard. So what I ended up doing was, just before I go on to that, one thing is some of the newer builds, you can't use sockets directly. So if you're doing networking stuff, you must make sure to use pipes, which is the XO's way of doing networking. So the easiest way to disable some of the security and get rid of some of the hassle, at least for testing, is just removing etc OLPC security and then rebooting should disable most of the activity restrictions. And then just touching the file, which basically means is creating the file, with it just being empty, will be enough to re-enable security after rebooting it. If you really need to use cron or similar daemons, you're gonna just need to do this what Opera did and just use the activity as a launcher. So essentially, their entire activity, all it does is it calls Opera from the command line. It's one line essentially. So and then if you're having real problems with trying to see why your application doesn't start, the debug logs are located within the sugar directory where you had specified that the org ID name.
Before you go on, a question. I like Opera and I use it, but I found that it wasn't very helpful to me to have the icon because then every time it went in like I was a brand new user because I haven't disabled security. So instead, if I go in through terminal, then I can make it come up and it remembers where I was the last time.
Yep.
It remembers my bookmark.
That's some issues that with the secsecurity system. So
if you try that'll get better in time, that I'll be able to.
They need to fix the old activity basically.
I've heard some
facility now where you can specify that it should run as the same user ID every time it starts. So
yep, there's
in your activity.info.
Yep. Oh, there is. Oh, really? There's something like really?
I don't know if because the Opera activity has.
I haven't.
Was written for 6.5.6.
Yep. If that is a new option, then that gets rid of one of my wants.
It exists already for a while.
Oh, I haven't. I must have not just seen it. And then well, but one of the things I'd really like to see is more like a daemon mode or scheduler. I like to be able to have an activity that doesn't have a GUI full time. So I could have like something on my sidebar that is just running and possibly giving me just a little bit of information and running in the background. Now I'm pretty sure that would be pretty hard to implement, but it's something I'd really like to see.
Is that why they don't have stuff like notification of chat invites and stuff like that?
So, there's some stuff involved in that, I think. I was looking at a couple discussions on that, and I saw that was kind of odd. So another thing I like to see is, although he seemed to have answered my question, that more granular security. So I mean, I was having to delete that directory on any machine that I want to get it to work. So I mean, I'd like to be able to say, okay, just allow me to do these things without having to turn off security entirely. It's like, I mean, I'd like a configuration file that was editable by root that I could change some of the security settings on. And one more thing is, for a while I was trying to figure out why a setting I was using wasn't working until I realized, and after going on the IRC channel, that it was being denied because of a security conflict. And unfortunately, the logs didn't show. Yeah, was a bit of a problem. So that's basically it. On the my actual XO itself, we'll be able to pass around. You can try out the activity. Yes.
Yeah. My question is, what would you say about your experience dealing with were you interfacing directly with the sugar community? Primarily, is that
on Pound Sugar? I mean, mainly on IRC, but
and how receptive did you find that community. What I'm trying to figure out is, as a teacher, I would like to, become part of this project, but I want to know that there's a place on the other side that students such as yourself. I mean, you're a pretty exceptional student. If I want to bring more students in.
I got some bad information from people that wasn't accurate. To some degree.
But are there mailing
lists? But yes, there are mailing lists.
How much support is there for growing the sugar community?
I'd say there's a decent amount, but you really have to be patient because for a while, there was a couple of questions I had that I didn't get answered for a day or two, or more even in some cases. But if you're persistent, you'll eventually get the answers you want. So I think there's plenty of room for actually growing the community and getting people to be involved in developing for sugar. The architecture, as some of the things that may be flawed about it, it's pretty amazing architecture altogether. So I think that definitely you should consider to continue development on it. So yes, Daniel?
I have a question about the icons you mentioned. You said that the SVG and the extension was assumed. So is it not possible to create an icon in another format?
Yeah, it's not. From what I've seen, you probably could in some way, but the idea is that when you mouse over it, it goes to your color, and so you can't do that with a non-scalable, a non-vector format easily. Okay. Yes.
This was mentioned in terms of monitoring other things besides just sounds here.
Yes.
Some of the conversations I had with Elaine Negroponte, she seems to be really into local medicinal plants, and I can imagine setting up an OLPC and watching something grow, or doing the temperature monitoring. Any other sort of thoughts on how it might be applicable in that domain? But I think there's definitely an interest from up high. Especially the camera, because a lot of that, that's an activity that you think would be incredibly useful, but hasn't been done yet, really. So what I've basically been doing the last week, and unfortunately I don't have it here to show, but I've been completely basically rewriting the Sheng's app to make it so you can actually record various types of data. Right now it only directly supports video and audio, but I'm probably going to make it so it supports various other types of data, mainly if it through spreadsheets, and because a lot of that, numeric data is generally what you want for temperature sensors and sunlight sensors and things like that. There could be more stuff. I think there's a huge opportunity for growth there. That's why I'm sort of really excited about getting this working and try to see if we can apply it to more things. Okay. Here.
I wasn't clear on what the name of the activity is. Is it downloadable now from the activities page?
No, not quite yet. I'm working on a revised version. It should be downloadable probably sometime next week, or probably by next weekend. I should have at least a beta version.
So what's its name?
It's time lapse.
Have you bothered to post a release message to the sugar list? Because even if your code's not properly done yet, you can help get comments by just posting a release announcement.
No, I haven't done that. Thank you.
You really should.
Okay. Yes?
And then last night I saw actually the very common Canon PowerShot sort of pocket cameras.
Yep.
Apparently had aftermarket firmware updates for them that support USB cables, time-lapse monitoring, and there's a lot this camera can do. There might be the opportunity to interface with other components as well.
Oh yeah, I can look at. I think if we could even just get a standardized configuration format that can be pushed to an external camera, that would be an incredible tool. Because right now it only works with the XO's internal camera. So if we could get that to work with several other, at least popular makes of camera, that'd be kind of cool. Anything else? Any other questions?
Where do you store the data files?
Now in the new version right now, I'm doing the exact same thing as Opera is doing, as you can see.
Storing them in the activity file?
No, unfortunately, I'm not. I've disabled security and I'm using just shortcuts. So this is not the way it should be. This is the one I just did for a demonstration on the laptop. But right now it works the same way, where we'll just write to any directory that OLPC has rights to, that the OLPC user has rights to, and you can specify that directory.
Yeah, you can change the location by